It is now time to welcome our very special guest this week. His name is Mr. William Williams. He is the Australian ambassador to Senegal residing in Ghana. In this interview, he tells us more about the bilateral cooperation between our two countries, despite the long distance separating our two countries.
I'm the Australian ambassador to Senegal, but I am resident in Accra. And from Accra, we are responsible for 8 other countries in West Africa. So Senegal is the westernmost of the countries we're responsible for.
What are the areas of cooperation between our two countries, that is Australia and Senegal?
Well, Australia and Africa, there's a re-engagement going on from the Australian side with all of Africa. And with Senegal, we're re-engaging in some specific ways. I've been the Australian ambassador to Senegal for the past 3 years, so I've been coming here during that time to build the engagement in areas of common interest. We're both democracies and we both have respect for the democratic tradition, but it's in the area of cooperation in human capacity building and in technical areas where Australia has key competencies that we're able to add some value and support the capacity of your public sector in particular. I mentioned mining and natural resources. It won't be a surprise to you that Australia is a big mining country with vast resources and big experience in natural resources management. But not only that, we're also very good at agriculture. And when I mean agriculture, we have the range of agriculture from tropical to arid dryland farming. And I think it's in particularly dryland farming in difficult climate areas that we're able to support and contribute to Senegal's development and capacity in agriculture for food security. I mentioned those 2 areas as key priorities for our relationship.
What is the history of this relation between Africa and Australia? Is it recent, or has it been a long time that this relation has been fostering, or is it more a sudden interest for Africa and Francophone Africa?
No, Australia and Senegal have had a diplomatic relationship for a long time, but I think we're engaging and elevating that relationship. Certainly in the past 3 years, there's been a conscious and deliberate policy by the Australian government to engage in a deeper way. And I think, as I mentioned, in these areas of agriculture and natural resources, they're 2 key parts of your economy, they're 2 key parts of our economy, and we can add substance to the relationship. So I think we're deepening the relationship over the past 3 years and finding those connection points where we can be partners.
When can we expect an Australian embassy in Dakar?
Well, I'm not sure I have a direct answer for you in that regard. Yes, it would be lovely to have an Australian embassy in Dakar, but there's no current plan to establish one. But let's hope that would happen one day, and of course that would add sort of more value to the presence here.
What is on schedule during your stay here in Dakar? Who are you meeting with, and what are your expectations?
Well, I think meeting the key ministries, the Foreign Affairs Ministry, the Mining Ministry, the Agriculture Ministry, they are certainly my priorities this week. But apart from that, the Australian companies that are present in Senegal, and this other area of cooperation is in agricultural research. You have a big research facility in Senegal called the West African Council for Agricultural Research and Development. It's a long name, and it has a CORAF-WECARD acronym. And in that area, the Australians are working in research into agriculture. It's a $16 million project over 4 years, and Senegal is one of the priority countries, and Australian scientists are working here and with Senegal and these other countries to assist with building deeper research into agriculture, into crops and into livestock capacity. This is for food security, but it's also for the longer term of building exports in the value chain for post-harvest and also in areas that can contribute to the way the country is able to use agriculture for the economic growth of the country.
We can say that the cooperation is mainly through trade with these mining companies present here, but what do you see for the future of the bilateral cooperation between Australia and Senegal?
Well, I think we have many shared interests, and one of those would be food security related to climate change. Climate change is a reality, and it affects us all. It's a priority for Australia, and the impact of climate change on food security and on land degradation and droughts, and therefore the use of water is principal amongst this, and how we use water intelligently, and dryland farming techniques and irrigation techniques. Australia has a big experience in this, and we're very keen to share that experience. In fact, a couple of months ago we had a workshop here in Senegal and in Mali and Burkina, which brought together smallholder farmers in how to use water and irrigation techniques so that you can get better use of water as a very precious resource. And so we're sharing our experience in drip agriculture, in the ways to increase yield with better use of water.
What are the similarities? What strikes you the most as an Australian when you come here to Senegal?
Well, sitting by the ocean as we are right now, and one cannot but help be struck by the beauty of the ocean. Australia is an island continent, you're right to say that, and it has wonderful beaches and a wonderful coastal lifestyle. That strikes me as a very similar experience in Dakar and up and down the coast of Senegal. So I think that's common. We also share a tough climate in parts, with arid climates in parts of both countries, which is a challenge for people's livelihoods. And so those things bring us together, and the impact of climate change and the adaptation, the technologies that you need to adapt, and the way you mitigate against climate change, I think also is a common shared interest that we have in common, and we should be working together on in the future.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks a lot for being our guest on EMAG.
It's my pleasure, Hawa. I'm happy to be part of your EMAG program today.
Great.